What's up everyone, my name is Josh and this is Josh Unboxed, and welcome back to the Daily Grind, a video series where I talk about particular cards, plays, news, strategy, and how it affects the overall sports card market. In other words, I'm just trying to find a way to help us navigate through the craziness of the sports card world of today, as well as to help us make much more sound purchasing and selling decisions. And in today's video, I wanted to talk about a particular strategy that I have been using since the end of the year last year, and that is finding value in low-grade stuff, low-grade cards. And I've been doing this with guys like Derek Jeter, recently Jerry Rice, Kobe Bryant, focusing on the low-grade stuff because the low-grade stuff do have value. As big money is coming into the hobby, as more and more eyes are shifting towards the hobby, and people are seeing how much money vintage cards are making, then we got to find a way to stay a step or two ahead of the game. You know, it's been crazy this year. We only been 1 month in for 2021, and we've already reached record sales of, Gretzky, Mantle, and Jordan. Crazy. And now more and more people are shifting and looking at the vintage cards and buying them up as much as they can. And with new people who've come in for the past year that started with the modern cards, they're trying to find out how can they get a PSA 9, PSA 10. It's just really, really expensive. And we've seen the modern sports card market kind of take a dip. I suspect that most people are selling their cards to be able to buy into blue chips, Hall of Famers, and GOATs, which is, a very great strategy. And it's one that's tried and true because, these older cards of these great players only gain value over time. And we're looking at long term, right? We're looking at from 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. That's the way I'm looking at it. So think about this. We come during the time where, with modern cards, there's high pops on a lot of cards. Like the Luka Doncic Prism PSA 10 has a 15,000, maybe even more now. I haven't checked lately. So with all these people and all these eyes shifting towards vintage, there's not enough PSA 10s or 9s to go around. So think about it this way. We have 1,000 people that want to get a particular card. And let's say there's only 100 of that card in PSA 10 and there's only 500 in PSA 9. There's not enough for everyone to get one. And as big institutionalized money is coming in and buying up these high grades of very iconic cards, then those cards are being stashed away and never to see the light of day because they're holding them on for a long-term investment. What we'll probably see is people who have collected the cards for a long time deciding to cash out and using that money for something else. Or we see fractional ownership, which we've been seeing a lot lately. How do we still, one, enjoy the hobby and collect, and two, find value in the cards that we're buying? And when it comes down to it, the way I look at it is just finding value in the low-grade stuff of these iconic cards, of these great cards, of these great players. Because if everyone is shifting focus onto those cards, then I feel it's good to kind of buy in on like the PSA 8s, the BGS 8.5s, the BGS 8s, even BGS 9s, for example, because the discrepancy between the BGS card and the PSA card is pretty big. So these are the things that I'm looking at. It's a strategy that I've been using since the beginning of this year, going into the end of last year. What I've been focusing on are iconic cards or cards of significant players, of their rookie cards, and just focusing on getting the low grade. Stacking and stashing those low grades, because I'm looking at this as a long-term kind of thing. I'm looking at it for like 15 years, 20 years. And these are cards that I feel will hold value over time. So if you wanted to get a Jerry Rice card, you go for a PSA 8. I'm not focusing on a PSA 9 because I don't have the money to buy it. But if you have the money to buy into PSA 9, you can. Or you can divvy up that money into buying PSA 8s of many different cards, of many different iconic cards. You can diversify your portfolio in a way where you can have many different iconic cards. That's been my strategy for the past few months, is focusing on iconic cards and buying low grade or respectable grades that have value. And I think that's the most important part, is the grades that have value. A lot of modern people who are coming into the sports card market today have been fixated on PSA 10, PSA 9s. We've been conditioned to think that. However, there is value in the low grades. And I've talked about this in the previous video for the vintage cards, where you kind of have to drill down through the pop reports and find out what grades have value. And you have to think about what's the demand, or what's going to be the demand of these cards going forward, going into the future. If we're to believe that this sports card market will continue to grow and evolve, then more and more people will jump on. And as those people are jumping on, they're going to start looking at those iconic cards as well and trying to get the high grades as possible. But if you're going to stay a step or two ahead of the game, you can buy into these cards a little earlier, especially PSA 8s, PSA 7s, BGS 8.5s, BGS 8s. That's my plan. That's my strategy. So I really hope you found some value in this. Maybe, it's about shifting the paradigm. What it comes down to is shifting our perspective. We've been so fixated on buying high grade stuff because we feel that high grade has a lot of value or high grade gets the most return, which is true, right? But if you really want to jump into vintage cards, you got to look at it as a long-term investment. And in order to be able to do that, you're going to have to shift your perspective. Instead of focusing on the 10s and 9s and high grades, start looking at the decent grades, because PSA 8s are still respectable, especially for cards that are really, really old. Because as kids, we never kept them as in great condition. So find value in them. And I hope you guys found value in this video. If you guys did, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing. These are videos that I do daily. I love talking about sports cards and the sports card market and ways to help us stay a step or two ahead of the game. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate you guys watching these videos. I appreciate you guys hitting the like button. I appreciate you guys commenting, subscribing. It really does, it really helps me stay engaged with you guys. I really do enjoy that. Whether you agree or disagree, or whether you like the video or dislike the video, it's all about having that engagement with you guys. So with that being said, my name is Josh, and I'll see you guys in the next video later.